So college dropout, then late registration. Now, Kanye came in and just you like, wow, this is
different. I never knew this existed. Yeah.
So from listening to Kanye, what did Kanye introduce you to through listening to him?
So with him,
you found out about who?
I ended up finding out about Common, Talib, Mos, and I'm naive at the time thinking, oh, they're new artists too. And then it's like, oh wait, they were here before him.
So you had to, so that was your start, your introduction was hearing them with Ye, but then you had to go back.
Yeah, 100%. So I had to go back and do my own like homework. And then doing that, that's when I realized, oh wait, there's also Tribe, there's also De La Soul. There's
so
also,
you started going down the family tree.
Yeah, and I'm like, wait a minute, so you mean to tell me that you can just be a normal guy? Like you don't have to, because so when I'm first starting to rap, you know, battle rap was like the thing. And of course, to be a battle rapper, you have to have 1 million guns.
Yeah, all the gun lines.
You gotta have cars that I couldn't drive at the time. You gotta mac on all these girls. I was shy, you know, but my raps, said otherwise, you know. And when I'm listening to them, it's like, you know what? I can actually rap about just what my life really is and it still be ill because my skill level is crazy. You know what I'm saying? And so I would say, that Kanye was the reason that he bridged that gap for me.
Season 2 of Gentleman's History Hour is sponsored by HueRepublic.com, HUERepublic.com. Go to HueRepublic.com and get the latest colors to rep your hue. Gentleman's History Hour, Season 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, I go by the name of Equality. This is Gentleman's History Hour, also known as GHH. Today, it's a special day for me. We got Savvi in the building. We got the Juice Queen in the building, so y'all may hear some voices in the background. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna take a journey, y'all. We're gonna take a journey through hip-hop. And the special guest I got next to me, I wanna take this journey with him. Really, really dig in deep and have this historic musical conversation. I'm gonna pick his brain. We're gonna talk about music history, what influenced him, historic events that influenced him, people in history that may have influenced him. That could be family, it could be whoever. It don't have to be, names that we know in pop culture. But without further ado, I got one of the dopest, and I mean dopest MCs in the city of Houston, Texas. And that means a lot to me because I'm from Houston, Texas. So a guy that picks the kind of beats that he picks, we're gonna talk about that. Writes the way he writes, because I'm an MC and I study and I listen. Flagger Woods, Flagger, my man.
I humbly appreciate that, man.
Thank you, my brother,
evening,
man.
Ladies
This
and
is
gentlemen.
man. Got Flagger. What else outside of just being an MC you want to tell the people, man?
Illustrator, father, soon to be husband.
Congrats.
Son, brother. Yeah, just a man. Man first.
So it started. I said Houston, but it started in Missouri City, Texas, right? Let's take this journey, man.
Man, so after elementary and middle school, my mother moved us to a neighborhood called Broadgate. We lived in the Broadgate townhomes in Missouri City. I went to Willow Ridge High School, and
the Ridge.
Yeah, that's when the journey really began. I originally, thought I was going to be like an NBA player, and
that's right, you do hoop.
Yeah, I still hoop from time to time, man. But that's when I really realized, like, man, this rapping thing might be all right, So most cities where I honed my skills and really found out who I really was,
At what age, when you say hone your skill, at what age did you realize that you had a skill?
Man, honestly, I would say maybe around 13 or 14. I would have punchlines here and there, and people would really go crazy. When it was official, however, I was maybe around 16. This was my sophomore year, and we were in English class, and we had to write poetry and present it to the class. And so I wrote a rap. And, I knew the rap was good. I had lines in it, but I didn't realize, like, people's reactions would be the way it was. And when they reacted and like it was, I said some line, I may have paid homage to Biggie, but it was something along the lines of "Don't feel bad, your life sucks." I heard Mickey D's is hiring. Maybe they wasn't aware of that, but they just went crazy. And I'm like, you know what? Before that, I was with the schemes. I was already setting them up, and I was like, and I realized at that point I might be able to do this, man. Like people really, not only am I comfortable rapping, but people actually get what I'm saying, and they gravitate towards
This was age 16, right?
16, yeah.
I want to go a little further back because that's when you started actually penning rhymes. Prior to that, what music were you influenced by before you even started writing?
Man, so...
But for context, 1990, that's your year.
First day of the 90s, yes, sir.
Yeah, first day of the 90s. That's your introduction into the world.
Yeah.
So... what was your introduction into hip-hop?
Man, my introduction into hip-hop...
prior to you writing?
Prior to me writing, it was Bone Thugs and Harmony, 8Ball and MJG, Tila, you know, and these were all artists that my older brother was listening to. Of course,
it's always
UGK.
an older family member, man.
Yeah.
I tell people it's always an older sibling, cousin
something.
People, yeah. So that, because that's way prior to 19. That's like, these are groups from my time, my era.
Man, I remember being in the house. I may have been like 8 or 9. I was 8 years old, actually. My brother is walking around the house blasting Tila, and he's rapping it word for word. And he's like losing his mind as if he wrote it. And I'm just looking at that. I'm excited as a kid, but I'm like, man, you don't get this kind of emotion outside of sports. Like, what is this rapping thing, and why is he so excited? And I'm wondering, what is it that this rapper is saying? Because I mean, of course, I know it's Tila now, but as a kid, I'm like, what is he saying?
8 years old, right?
Yeah. I'm like, what is he saying that got my brother going so hype? I don't get it, you know? And so, you know, that was really my first introduction as far as before I started rapping. And of course, whatever was on the radio, like Jay-Z, Outkast, Elevators was out.
Okay.
And I remember the hook, but of course, as a kid, yours and your cousin too. But as a kid, I'm not knowing how to recite the verses. I'm just waiting on the hook to come back.
That came out in 96, man. So you were like 6 years old. It just had that, just hearing that
catchy. Hook. And that's what kind of grabbed me. If it was catchy, I would just wait for the hook to come back around. And I mean, the verses that I did know, like, I could rap Master P verses, like make him say, I remember those verses, you know. But I mean, outside of that, like, it was really just hooks and beats that would catch me.
Okay, so by the time you started writing, when you 13 to 16, what were you listening to that got your pen game going? Now you're growing into yourself.
Yeah, Dipset taught me how to rap.
Wow.
And what I mean by that is
Killer Cam,
Jewels, J.R. Ryder.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is, when I was really listening to and studying Dipset, it wasn't just about rhyming the last word. You had to rhyme the middle and the last word. And sometimes that whole middle sentence had to rhyme, you know? And then they even introduced me to, like, the idea of you would rhyme one set of words, you would go to another set of words for like 4 bars, and then your punchline would go back to that first set of words.
You know what's crazy, man? And I'm, you know, my generation, it was like a line in the sand.
Yeah.
So when Dipset came out, you had people that was like, I don't really rock with that. You had people that like Cam, because he started rapping with Mace in them.
Right. Horse and Carriage, right? Yeah.
And then, you know, it was just these lines in the sand from the 90s type of hip hop. So to hear you, like, to you, it's innocent. You don't know that it's certain people that's thinking that shit whack.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You're like, yo, this is teaching me how to rhyme.
Well, some kids in my age group thought Cam was whack because they was like some of the words, his vernacular was like too like elegant. It fooly magooly.
Yeah. So who was your guy out of Dipset, or did you just like all of them? Did you have a particular one?
It was Cam. And it was Jewels. Jewels, his punchlines were just like different. And but what I liked about Cam, it was the flow and how cool it was. Even if he, let's say he, hypothetically speaking, he was making up some of them words.
Yeah, he had a style. He had a distinct style.
Fly. Like,
he had a distinct style, and he had a distinct type of swagger that he brought
Yeah.
to hip hop, because he's still from an era where you had to be a character in hip hop.
Yeah.
So 13, 16, so you listening to Dipset, you rhyme. This is you, what, around 16, listening to Dipset?
So I'll be honest with you. I wrote my first rhyme, and this wasn't me pursuing it, but the first rhyme I ever wrote, I'll never forget it. I was in 5th grade. We were in the lunch cafeteria. What was that bad boy band that came out? Make this money, take this money. Ain't no way you can take this. Was it G-Dep or?
G-Dep had that.
That was the first song I ever wrote a rhyme to, and like,
So the bad boy era.
I wasn't
But that was
influenced
still-
by it. It was just it was like a bounce to that flow, and I just took that bounce, and I was just kind of, I didn't know what I was doing or why I was doing it.
Yeah.
Wasn't gonna record it, wasn't pursuing it. I just decided to everything slowed down in the lunchroom, and I just decided to just kind of write something in the notepad.
So, okay, you said lunchroom. Around this time, this is what year is this that we talking about?
This was 2001.
So 2000, hip hop was going through.
Yeah.
The 2000s was a weird year. in
And we
hip-hop.
were freestyling on the back of the bus. We were making beats on the table with pens and pencils. So it was H-Town influence. It was a lot of Maine coming down.
So that was still, y'all still knew about that.
100%. That's where it started.
Live all the way live, I bet you never knew that Houston, we in the house. So where we from, Houston.
This is Flash Gordon Parks. You're listening to Soul One, peaceofmind.com.
You know, if you was rapping or even thinking about rapping around that time, that's where you started.
It still started with the main.
Yes, that's all we knew, because we thought that was like a standard, you know. But when I wrote that rhyme, and I don't remember it, of course, because this was like over 20 years ago, but when I wrote that, there was no main coming down in it. It was just, I was just kind of rapping the same way that
I mean, Dip said that's East Coast. So that's the East Coast inspired group.
Yeah.
And the main, that's Houston. That's the Houston man coming down, all of that from the era of me and Sav growing up having to hear that shit.
Yeah.
That whole screw sound. So high school, your guys were still kind of knew that.
Yeah.
Rapping like that. You on Dipset, what some of your other guys on? Like,
so
when y'all talking music, and we talking about 2001, going inside of your mind, what was y'all on? Your other guys.
So I remember my younger cousins played me the Mike Jones mixtape, and it was Chameleonaire, who was like, that was the first example of like, oh, he from Houston, but he got rhyme schemes like these Dipset guys. And then Mike Jones had a mixtape with an artist by the name of Magno. And Magno's punchlines were crazy. And so it's like that. So here's the thing, that showed me, okay, it's here, you know, but the persona was still of Houston. They were still talking slabs. They were still talking the same H-Town content, but they had the same rhyme patterns and schemes that I would hear from Dipset.
Got it.
And then now my peers, they were of course influenced by, you know, we were listening to Lil Flip.
So y'all had the
Lil
Houston.
O.
Y'all did. What about Zero coming out of Mo City?
100%. Yeah. Like Zero was like a lot of people's Hove, man, and like you had to. And the thing is with Zero, it wasn't even just the rapping; it was the melodies too. Like,
because he saw him.
Yeah, and so that to be honest with you, present day, you know, that was like my introduction to, you know, adding melodies in my rap, you know, and of course other artists influenced that, but he was like the first one that I recall listening to where he was rapping, but then he would turn around and sing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So y'all knew y'all had this. Y'all were going in the lunchroom,
Big Mo,
having
all
these
that.
hip hop discussions. So y'all knew, and you were part of a collective. That's why I'm saying your homies, your crew.
Yeah.
Now, and we're gonna build up to how we met each other.
Correct.
But I want you to tell me how you met the guys that I was introduced to.
You mean Tame and
Yeah.
So funny, man. I didn't like Tame when I met him, and he noticed, man. We met on the
And
basketball
Tame
court.
is an MC.
Tame
out of
inspired
Houston.
me, my brother.
Yeah.
You know, another amazing artist out of the H. I didn't like him because we met. We didn't even meet on a rap ish. We met on the b-ball court, and he was making fun of how I would shoot my jump shots.
Yeah.
And every time he crack a joke, I'd miss.
Yeah.
And so I didn't like him. And then fast forward, like I didn't see him for a couple years. And then me and my other partner, Byron, who at the time went by Be Easy, we started rapping. And he was like, man, I got to introduce you to my homie Lil Mello. Now, mind you, I knew of...
Yeah, because he started as Lil Mello because his dad is Big Mello.
Exactly.
A Houston hip-hop legend.
Yeah. Long live.
Yeah,
you know?
R.I.P.
And so he's saying Little Mello, and I'm not knowing who he's... I'm not even making that connection because I knew him as Andrew.
Yeah.
And so when I seen him, now he didn't recognize me because at that time, believe it or not, camera, I had braids.
yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And he, I guess because I grew my hair out, he may have not have recognized me, but I recognized him. And so me and Byron are spitting written rhymes, and he's like losing his mind. He's like, man, this is dope. He freestyles, and it's on the same level as us penning stuff.
Yeah.
And we were just kind of blown away. And then at that point, we decided to just, yo, man, he had his crew in Elkins called Hustle League. We were in a clique called Young Mike Crashers. We then changed it to, what was that? We changed it to Phonetic Inc. And the ink was... it was a double entendre because it was ink as an ink pen and incorporation, even though we were kids.
Oh
we
yeah, like ink and then INC, like incorporated. Yeah.
And so we just decided to branch Phonetic Inc. and Hustle League together. And originally it was
and y'all were at different high schools, right?
Yeah.
Around
I was
the city.
Willow Ridge.
Yeah.
Byron was Be Easy was Marshall, and then at the time Lil Mello is Elkins.
Yeah.
And so we brought it all together and formed FHE, which at first stood for Phonetic Hustlers Entertainment, but then once it was like, man, let's play like what's gonna last, and we decided to call it Family Here Eternally.
You know, and we're gonna get into making these generational connections.
Yeah.
But this is around 2001.
This was around 2000. So no, we formed this group around 2006, 2007.
Okay, around 2006, 2007. And the story and how y'all combined. I had the pleasure of talking to another legendary Houston MC named K Reno.
Man, yeah.
And the story that you tell, he can go all the way back to the origins of Houston hip hop.
Wow.
But it's similar when he talks about, now he was on a battle scene, going to different high schools on the south side,
right?
Going to Jones or going to Sterling or going to but battling guys, and then they were impressed by each other's rhymes and forming the group. And I'm just saying that to say that that's been going on like that, like groups being formed like that. But I just wanted to say that because I know we're gonna start talking about the connections, the generational connections with hip hop and music. But also, so now y'all got the group. So your musical taste, because you know we started, you know, Tila, then we go Dipset, then Mike Jones and all of the Houston stuff. So how is your musical taste evolving as you grow on this journey with your partners and making music?
Man, so I'll tell you, man.
What was that one thing that just rocked your world that came out musically?
It was Kanye.
That's
so
man.
So here's how all of that was how I was able to bridge the gap, how I was able to even, you know, make the decision to look for other stuff that, you know, wasn't the norm. When I heard College Dropout, and I just heard the content.
That came out in what year? 04.
And I heard the content that was on there, or it might have been top of 05. I can't remember, but I was when I heard that content, and like I remember even watching the My Diary episode of Kanye. And like he's going to like the polo stores and everything, and now at the time we still rocking tall tees. But if I'm gonna be, if I'm being honest, I was looking at that like, man, that's actually fly. Like, you know what I'm saying? His pants ain't sagging and everything.
You feel like you identified with him a certain way, whereas initially you were just falling into the Houston look.
Yeah, and what was going on, you know? But of course, I couldn't wear my polos that size, at least not yet.
Yeah.
But then after College Dropout came out, and then I remember when what was that hurricane that hit us in 05, but I don't even think it was a serious hurricane. It was like it was Ike or something. No, not Ike. It was maybe, I forget.
Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about. In the mid 2000s, around that like two.
Yeah,
I can't think of the name, but was it Allison? It may have been. Was it Allison?
It was, man. Sure. It's gonna come to me later, but I remember we evacuated, and we didn't even have to evacuate, honestly, but we thought we did because I think Katrina might have like came, and then we assumed that it was
it Rita?
The same.
It may have been Rita.
Might have been
Rita.
Yeah.
Rita.
And I was listening to Late Registration, and that's when it was like, oh man, like this is it. This is.
Let's stop right there. So College Dropout, then Late Registration. Now, Kanye came in and just you like, wow, this is
different. I never knew this existed. Yeah.
So from listening to Kanye, what did Kanye introduce you to through listening to him?
So with him,
you found out about who?
I ended up finding out about Common, Talib, Mos. And I'm naive at the time thinking, oh, they're new artists too. And then it's like, oh wait, they were here before him.
So you had to, that was your start, your introduction was hearing them with Ye, but then you had to go back.
Yeah, 100%. So I had to go back and do my own like homework. And then doing that's when I realized, oh wait, there's also Tribe, there's also De La Soul. There's
so
also,
you started going down the family tree.
Yeah, and I'm like, wait a minute, so you mean to tell me that you can just be a normal guy? Like you don't have to, because so when I'm first starting to rap, you know, battle rap was like the thing, and of course to be a battle rapper, you have to have 1 million guns.
Yeah, all the gun lines.
You gotta have cars that I couldn't drive at the time. You got to Mac on all these girls. I was shy, you know, but my raps said otherwise, you know, and when I'm listening to them, it's like, you know what? I can actually rap about just what my life really is and it still be ill because my skill level is crazy. You know what I'm saying? And so I would say, that Kanye was the reason that he bridged that gap for me. And then, of course, listening to him later on, that's when I went back and realized how dope NERD was. Because
Pharrell.
Yeah, I remember watching their first video, Super Rockstar, and I mean it was actually on Street Flavor. Believe it or not, they played it on Street Flavor, And I was just like, I mean, it's cool, but like, why are they skating? Like, I was so like tunnel vision that I didn't realize. Like,
hip hop was
whole,
it was introducing you to a big world of hip hop can go here, it can go there. But it started with Ye.
For me,
yeah, for you, starting with Ye, and then hearing Common on there, and then hearing Most, and then going back and having to do that homework.
Yeah.
So I want to get to that, doing the homework part.
Okay.
Because we were talking about this, and I'm gonna name some names, and you just tell me where you started, and then where you had to go back. So if I say Nas, where you start with Nas? Your introduction to Nas was what?
I started at Made You Look as well, and it was
on Godson's album.
Yeah, and then of course Ether, and then I had to go back. Because I never knew what Illmatic was.
Illmatic was. You was
never knew about It Was Written. I didn't know.
2 years old when it came out.
Yeah, or maybe like 4 or 5.
No, because Illmatic was
94.
Yeah, it was 94. Yeah, you're right. I'm thinking it was. Yeah, he started recording it around 91, 92.
Yeah, but I didn't know what that was. We wasn't, no one was really pushing that down here. At least no one that I knew. I'll put it like that. But
from your peer group, they wouldn't know about it unless they had like some older brother or uncle maybe that put them on and played.
But our older brother, unless our older generation, our older brothers and cousins and everything, they wasn't playing that.
They weren't listening to that.
Yeah, I mean maybe they did, but like it wasn't nothing that we would catch on.
But you heard that Made You Look and Ether was on that Godson album. Yeah. So from listening to that, you went back, did my homework, Illmatic, and realized. So from you going back and listening to Illmatic, how did it sound to you?
It sounded like it just came out. You know what I'm saying? It was refreshing. It was like, man, like, because I believe that what I was being introduced to and what I was beginning to do with my own pen was new. I didn't know that this was already around.
That existed.
Yeah.
So that's the importance of going back.
100%.
Doing that research. Okay, since we talking about Nas, I thought Jay-Z, your introduction.
My introduction.
And how far you went back.
My introduction to Jay-Z was Jigga What, Jigga Who, Hard Knock Life, just the singles. Yeah. And then, of course, Black Album, I kind of knew who he was. But once I was in high school, that's when I decided to go back and listen to Reasonable Doubt. Yeah. And it was like, oh, wait, first of all, Dead Presidents had 2 different versions. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Both of them 3 verses, both of them ill. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Can't Knock the Hustle and Can I Live? And I didn't know none of this existed, because these are the records that were not talked about, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, whoa, like, it's all there. All the rhyme schemes and patterns that I'm just learning about, they was already doing that.
You know? So when you start doing that homework, that had to have more of an influence on your pen game.
Yeah.
Coming from a kid, coming from Missouri City, starting with Dipset. Yeah. First the Tila and all of that, taking that journey. Because right now, I just want this historical journey with you in your mind. Yeah. And bringing up these memories to get to where you are now.
For sure.
So that Jay-Z going back, because see, some people don't go back and do the homework. Yeah. You went back and did the homework. You went back on Nas, even knowing when Illmatic came out. Even though it predated you, you knew when this stuff came out. 96, Reasonable Doubt comes out. Yeah. So now if I throw, let's say, Outkast.
So
your introduction.
My introduction was Elevators, and it wasn't the.
Oh yeah, that's right, because you heard the
hook, and then of course when Stankonia came out, Bombs Over Baghdad, Hey Ya, all of that, and
I'm using them because we're talking about the South. And they were one of those groups from the South that was like an outlier. Well, Goody Mob came first.
100%.
Right? Yeah. Goody Mob came first, and then Outkast came, and then Outkast came with that splash to where they sold. Goody Mob went gold with Soul Food, then Outkast, they always sold more. Yeah. The first album, Southern Playlistic, was 1 million. Yeah. Then ATLiens was like 1.5. And then they sound changed, but it was something the South could say, oh, y'all don't think that people can rap. Yeah. So here's Outkast. That's why I want to ask you about a group like Outkast.
So I had to go back and I had to go back and do that homework as far as Southern Playalistic and ATLiens. Because even though Elevators was ATLiens, I believe,
You were so young. Yeah, you wouldn't know to go get that album.
Yeah. I mean, you know, because I would just it was whatever albums my older brother had, which at that time, all the No Limit albums he had, Bone Thugs and Harmony. I remember The Art of War, he went and bought that album. And I was intrigued by that because Look Into My Eyes was on the Batman soundtrack. And you know what I'm saying? But I mean, of course, all of that, you know, was you know, in heavy rotation. But yeah, like I had to go back and listen to some of those albums. And you know what really made me go back is I remember being a teenager and people were comparing me to Andre 3000. And
with the rap style.
Yes. Yeah. And even though that's amazing, that is very scary as a young kid. Like, because what that does to a young mind when you tell them, yo, you rap the same as these guys that are established. Now you know, I'm expecting myself to be that established, and anything less than that is
set a standard.
Yeah, I have to make it now because I can't just be this regular guy if people say that I remind them of, you know what I'm saying?
He became 3000 later. He was Andre to us for a long time.
Yeah.
I want to say the 3000 came around, was it Stankonia? I don't think he was 3000.
Yeah, it was Stankonia, and then they did, what was that double album, The Love Below and Speaker Box,
Love Below.
Yeah, when they did the Bombs Over Baghdad, I think around that time.
So Stankonia, he became
that was
3000. Yeah, the 3000 that the world kind of knew because they got popular after every album. Yeah. So, me and you.
Yeah.
We're going to go back a little bit. Houston. You know about Mike Jones, you know about Chameleonaire, Pow Wow, you know about all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Right? So, Houston, I-10, Dave and Buster's. I was leaving the Improv. It was some comedy show. One of the homies from your crew, his auntie.
Yeah.
Was it his auntie or his cousin?
Older cousin, yeah.
His older cousin.
Scott Falls. Shout out to my bro, Scott Falls, yeah.
I'm walking back to my car. I hear somebody say, yo, EQ. She got these young cats salve. It was like, I felt like Russell Simmons or somebody, and she's like, yo, they can rhyme.
Yeah.
And these jokers these cats just started rhyming. I mean, like, y'all was like rhyming like.
We was hungry.
And I'm like, man, what can I do for these cats? I'm like, man, I can't sign y'all. I ain't got it like that.
Yeah.
I said, yo, man, I got some CDs.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give y'all these CDs. I'm gonna give y'all my number. Y'all went high school.
Yeah, or just about to leave high school.
Just about to leave high school. Say, here's my number, here the CDs. I get off of my ride, I'm like, man, we're not on the radio, we ain't on TV. You know, people hand out CDs all the time. And I think I got each one of y'all a CD.
Absolutely.
Man. I want you to tell what happened that day. I left thinking, I ain't gonna hear from y'all no more.
Yeah. We put that CD in as soon as we got in the car.
This was the District.
Yeah, with the school bus.
Yeah,
with the school bus on the cover.
First album, Houston Independent Spit District.
Correct. So, man, if I'm being honest, one, you was fresh. And so, like, that's the first thing that caught us. It's like, okay, he fresh. And you wasn't even tripping on our style because we skinny jeans and J's. I got braids. Yeah. And so
I wasn't coming with the old like the.
You didn't write us off. Yeah. And so we put the CD in, and again, it was one of those feelings of, oh snap, like this exists. It's here. Like we thought. At that time, we thought, man, we probably got to go to New York or Cali or Chicago. And it's like, no, they here. Like, it's obtainable.
Here in Houston.
Yeah. And so at that point, we was like, yeah, we got to call them. Let's try to build.
Man.
Because we had our bubble, but we hadn't yet branched out to the city. So we just felt like, if he gave us this CD and a number, and we dope, let's call him. Let's try to make something happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man, that reminds me of when I met the NEOT for the first time, and my favorite rapper, his name is Snap, or AKA Clay Red.
Yeah.
And I remember like growing up in Houston, like, where's the hip hop at? Thinking it didn't exist, man.
Yeah, that type of hip hop.
Parallel, it's the same story, man. And then one day I jumped into the Matrix, out of the Matrix, and found the portal. and I
Yeah.
found Morpheus.
Yeah,
I found Morpheus,
yeah.
and his name was Clay Red. You know what I mean? I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, it was a gateway. Then I was like, okay, you start connecting the dots, and then you say,
Yeah.
oh, come out here,
Yeah.
go there, and then
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, there's a whole actual scene on the ground.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's
Yeah.
like crazy.
Yeah.
That was I didn't discover that till I was like 20, 21.
Yeah, it was
You know what I
like-
mean? So,
Yeah.
so I was like, but it's been here for decades
Yeah,
already.
that's why it was
Yeah.
I
important.
mean, I knew about K Reno and SPC, but
Yeah.
I had their CDs. But like the whole other guys that was on that tip,
a
You
whole
didn't know it
different
was
sound.
in your reach.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was
in touch.
accessible like that. That's
Yeah.
why, for me, it was important. I'm just glad that we were able to bridge that gap because I didn't think anything of it. I'm just thinking, okay, I'm just another dude giving them our music sound. Man, they were calling and we were talking, and I never treated y'all like little young, young boys. It was always like, oh, what's up? What's going on?
We pulled up to y'all met us at a CC's Pizza one time.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
Just to
Yeah,
chop it
to
up
chop
and
it up.
pick our brains.
Yeah,
like, yo,
yeah.
what are y'all really trying to, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
Yeah.
so, bro, we were so hungry for that though. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
So that sound introduced y'all to a whole nother type of Houston sound with us.
100%.
Cause it was always special to me. I remember being in high school not knowing anything outside of Houston that wasn't just the screw type stuff.
Yeah.
Like Sam said, I didn't know it was another world out here.
Mm-hmm.
So to meet y'all and for y'all to not be influenced by popularity at the time, it wasn't about like how popular it is. Y'all put it in and it was solely based on the music. That was it.
That was it.
It was like, yo, this music is dope. And then it formed that connection for us to even be sitting here talking right now.
Yeah.
And then seeing your evolution, and then you see our evolution with the music.
Yeah.
So I also want to ask you, because we are a history show,
Absolutely.
and that's the other thing, you still follow that journey.
Yeah.
So outside of music, what were some of your influences? Maybe books, or even historical people or historical events that may have influenced you on your journey as an MC, as a man?
Man, honestly, so I was really heavy into comic books as a kid. I remember sneaking into my older brother's like collection. He used to collect Wizard magazines and things like that. So outside of rap, I also illustrate. And
Does that come from the comic book influence?
It does. And man, I can remember one week I was grounded. Like my mom, when I came home, no TV, no video game. All I could do is homework and then draw. And I mean, she didn't force me to draw, but it's like, well, it's the only thing I have. I just got these books. And so, man, illustrating really was my first way of expressing myself artistically.
It's something about rapping and drawing, man. I grew up the same way, man. Shout out to my mom. I'm single parent.
Yeah.
And she would just give me notebooks and stuff to draw, man. And something about the creativity of writing and drawing. So being an illustrator and then the comic books.
Yeah, man. And, as far as, just a few books that definitely influenced me. I mean, I know a lot of people have read it, but the autobiography of Malcolm X. Yeah. It just like, we knew who he was, as kids because of the Black History programs. But, just hearing about Detroit Red,
prior to being Malcolm X.
And you speak about evolution, like that was one of the greatest evolutions. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And man, there was this book, shout out to my homie DJ Elevated, man. He let me borrow this book once.
Yeah, DJ Elevated's PV.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember, I think the title may be Leaving America. But so the book was about a man who took his family and moved from America to St. Kitts. And he spoke about when, he lived over there, the habitat and the people were just very different in the sense of it was normal to have your door unlocked over there and just open and not think twice about someone robbing. Yeah. And, even the prisoners that were over there, people were doing jail time, but they had jobs outside of jail. And there was no worry of them being a flight risk or anything. It's like, they may have committed a crime, but it's like, hey, they accepted it and this is what it was.
I mean to interrupt you. Go ahead and finish.
And it's just, you know, when he spoke about these distinct differences between living in St. Kitts and living in America, it just kind of made me look at some of the things I may have been complaining about or taking for granted here, and realizing, man, these are only American problems. Like, I didn't get the new J's, or, you know, I can't afford this car. And it's like,
problems.
And it's like, don't get me wrong, a problem is a problem, you know, and but you know, and then I remember even when I went on a cruise and I went to places like when I went to Belize and just in Honduras, and you see how humble people live, but they're happy. Yeah. And it's like, you wonder, how are y'all able to find that happiness with so much less? And it's not about the material things that you can see and grab. It's within. Yeah. You know, and don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect in the sense of, you know, I still search and I pray every day for that type of contentment, you know, and that's, you know, my true desire, you know, but it's just, that changed my mind, and that amazed me. And some of the things that I was coveting, like, you know, I'm a huge sneakerhead, you know, but some of those things that I was coveting, I realized didn't matter, you know. And there was even another historic event that occurred in my life in 2011 when me and Beezy were driving back from Virginia to Texas, and we got in this car accident, and the car flipped over twice off the road. We both crawled out with our lives. Now, you know, we lost a lot of things that, again, I was coveting. I lost a bunch of shoes and clothes and video games, but I crawled out with my life. And I was in the driver's seat, and my friend crawled out with his life. Had he died, I don't know how I would have been able to live with that. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, with that experience, and then just reading that book, that kind of introduced the need to search for something more. You know, because, you know, it's chasing wind at the end of the day. As you can see, I still like nice things, but I don't covet it as much, or I try not to covet these things as much.
Perspective.
Yeah,
exactly. Perspective. The reason why I asked, man, because hip hop, you know, there was a moment in hip hop where a lot of stuff that we learned about books through hip hop.
Yeah.
You know, KRS-One was considered the teacher. He's a young hip hop artist, so when people make excuses about age, these guys were young. Rakim was teaching us about the nation of gods and earths. Yeah. Black Star, that group was named after Marcus Garvey's Black Star line.
Yeah, I discovered my favorite author from listening to Black Star, Octavia Butler. You know what I mean? Black science fiction sister. Yeah. Doing sci-fi. You know what I mean? Like, how crazy is that?
Yeah,
you know?
they had a song called The Bluest Eye, which is a Toni Morrison book. Really? It's based off of, Wonder How We Follow the Law of the Bluest Eye. And they took her hook. No, I don't think the song is named that.
That was a bar in the song.
That was a bar in the song, but it's inspired by a Toni Morrison book.
So these rhymes and these songs are like gifts that keep on giving.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we do a history show. We talk about history, but hip hop is still our foundation. And there was a point in time where hip hop was really teaching us, man. It was so, you know, all in all, man, to sit and have this conversation. And we're gonna have to have a part two, definitely, this conversation, because we didn't get into sound, and how you pick beats and that 100%. Evolution of listening, but understanding your pen game, how you write, your influences, a young kid, you know, like Kendrick Lamar said, the young kid in the Mad City. Yeah. And also, we talked about the past. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you with the new generation, because you're younger than Kendrick, like, how do y'all view the Kendrick, the Drake, and the Cole? Is that like y'all Nas, Jay-Z, Biggie?
I guess for most, for me, to be honest with you, they are Kendrick, Cole, and Drake. You know what I'm saying?
That. Yeah,
and you know, and the thing is, I try not to, you know, put that on like current artists because you can never fill those shoes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like trying to compare Mike and LeBron. Like Mike and LeBron are great, you know, as themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so I mean, that's how I personally view them. You know, it's just
if you had to put them in order, how would you rank them? What you like?
Oh man, if I had to, I would say right now, Cole, Kendrick, Drake.
Wow. Okay. I would say Kendrick, Cole, Drake.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I like Drake. I listen to Drake more than Cole. But I like Kendrick.
That's actually a tough one. I mean,
and it could change depending on the day, you know. So it is tough, you know.
Yeah. Man, I want to say salute to you, brother.
Thank you, man.
I wanted to get into that evolution of Flagger Woods, man, and getting into the mind, and then, you know, we gotta have a sit down with our producer too, because he's a comic book head.
Yeah.
And we talked about hip hop and comic books.
Absolutely.
I didn't get to ask you about Wu-Tang.
Yeah.
And you getting into Wu-Tang. We're gonna save that.
Okay.
But man, anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
Man, I humbly appreciate y'all for having me. Saying Hi, my latest project, is out on every DSP. I did the artwork. Appreciate you, man. I actually did the artwork myself, man. So y'all take a listen, man. Again, I'm Flagger Woods.
Yeah, and I like the fact that, and you correct me if I'm wrong, you get inspiration from Gentleman's History Hour just as much as you get inspired by the music, man.
100%.
That makes us feel good, man.
Yeah, I listened to the Seize the Time by Bobby Seale.
Oh, man, dope.
Because of y'all, yeah.
But that's what hip-hop does.
Yeah.
It inspired us. We do this, and it's still the foundation of hip-hop, man. Equality. This
Flagger
is my brother.
Woods. Flagger Woods,
Flagger
man.
Woods. We got Savvi. Man, it's a good day, y'all. GHH. Y'all hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Keep this positive energy floating around in the atmosphere, because we could use it right now, y'all.
No doubt.
Peace to the Juice Queen.
Thank you, guys.
Peace.
It was a good session.
Peace.
If you're watching this on YouTube, man, hey, y'all, hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. This is Gentleman's History Hour.